It was September 13th, 1997, and downtown Los Angeles was a ghost town, and a Brink truck was driving along the road. These trucks carry cash collected from businesses and other banks, and they take it to their facility where there's a huge vault. In this place, there was an employee named Alan Pace, and he was responsible for the safety of the building. Alan Pace was a normal employee. He was a good worker and everybody was friends with him. But the others had no clue that the person they're working next to is a criminal mastermind. Since Alan Pace was hired in this place, he was always thinking about how to rob the vault. That's why he slowly learns how the place works and plans out how to do it. After a few years of working there, Alan realizes he needs some help, and that's why he goes to 5 of his childhood best friends. He tells them the plan, and he tells them, "I need your help." Alan knew everything about the place. He exactly knew who comes in, does what, and when they leave. A good thing about Alan's position was that, since he was in the safety department, he could take pictures without being suspicious because he worked in the safety department. With these pictures, Alan taught his best friends how the place looks and works. He also studied every single camera in that place. He exactly knew where every blind spot is. For 1997, this place had top-of-the-line cameras, and they were rotating cameras. He even learned about those and knew where the blind spots are. Alan would have meetings with his best friends every night, and these meetings continued for the next 5 months. In this 5 months, he taught his friends exactly where every door is, how the buildings look, and he even had a blueprint of the building he worked at because he had access to it. And with this, he could show his friends where the cameras, doors, and other stuffs are. Alan was a really patient man. He told his friends, if we're not patient, we're gonna get caught. Everything was going good until September 12, 1997 came up. Alan was surprised because the company he worked at told him you're fired, and the reason for that was he stole one of his co-workers/friends' headlights and took it home with him. And since his friend was really pissed off, he calls the manager and snitches on him. And the company gave Alan no warnings. They fired him right away. Alan was devastated. He noticed that all his planning is going to waste. That night, he had a meeting with his friends and he told them the situation, that he got fired, and if we want to do this robbery, we have to do it tomorrow. Because all the information I have is gonna get old and we can't do it later than tomorrow. Alan knew it was a really good time to do this robbery. Because he was fired on a Thursday, and then the next day they wanted to do the robbery, it was a Friday, and since it's close to the weekend, it has the most cash in the vault. Friday night, Alan and his friends go to a nightclub to kill some time. Then at 11 p.m., Alan and his friends left the club. They went into their cars, they switched clothes, put on their mask and gloves, and they were ready to head to the vault. They had rented a small box truck to help them transport all that cash. When they got close to the vault, Alan's buddies told him that there's a camera, watch out. Alan said, "Don't worry, I know who's working right now, and he's not the best worker. He's probably not even paying attention to the screens." As we said earlier, Alan was a perfectionist. He planned it perfectly from start to finish. He had a key to the back door and they went in easily. Even though he knew who's working the shift in the camera room, he still avoided the cameras in the blind spots. Alan was walking in the front and his 5 friends would follow exactly where he's going. It was 12:30 and Alan exactly knew that the security guard are gonna come inside the cafeteria to grab some coffee. Alan and his friends would stand in the cafeteria, and when the security guards come in, they would hold them hostage, and one by one, they would tie them up and put tape on their mouth. Alan knew that the key of the room that headed to the vault was in the guards' hands. They got the key and entered the room where the vault is at. Anything we say about this vault is not enough. It has 18-inch steel doors. And don't even get me started on the walls. So basically, nobody without the key can open this vault. But Alan had the whole plan ready. He knew exactly at this time on a Friday, since there's a lot of money going in and out, the vault is gonna be wide open. And Alan and his buddies could easily walk in. They didn't need a jackhammer, drill, or even a torch. They basically had the key to the vault. And it was Alan's knowledge that today at this time, the vault is gonna be open. In the vault, there was cages full of cash, but the cages had regular locks and it could be cut off easily. And since Alan knew the place, he knew exactly which cages holds the big bills. He chose the cages where it at least had the $20 bills. So he didn't want the $1, $5, or $10 bills. Most of the cash at this place were $20 bills, and then there was some $50 and $100 bills. The truck they had rented filled up with cash, $18.9 million to be exact. And that in today's money is $30 million. But Alan didn't only want the cash, he wanted all the footage. He entered the camera room and he holds the worker hostage, and after he takes out every single tape and takes it with him. And the cool part is that Alan knew where the backup tapes are at. It was in a cabinet in another room, and he knew exactly where it is and he took it. Alan and his buddies successfully walked out with $18.9 million. The most cash ever stolen. To this day, nobody has stolen more cash than these guys. Alan had the aftermath planned out as well. They got to one of their buddies' apartments and emptied the cash inside. Again, they wore their party clothes and went back to the club. And the reason for that was, if anybody questioned them, where were you on September 13th, 1997? They would say I was at a nightclub. Close to morning, they went back home. When they got home, what do you think they did with all this cash? They probably started spending it right away, buying Rolex watches, buy a Rolls Royce. But Alan said no, none of that. If you want to all of a sudden spend all this cash, we're gonna get caught. So at first, he gave each of his friends $100,000 cash and told them to take it slow and don't spend it all. And the next job for Alan was to rent a storage unit and put all the cash there. This robbery blew up overnight, and since so much cash was stolen, FBI took over the case. At first, FBI looked for fingerprints, but they couldn't find any. And all the hostages they got didn't know anything, because they didn't speak in their normal voice and they didn't call each other's names. They were also wearing masks. And as we said earlier, they took all the tapes. FBI couldn't find anything, but they asked, how did the robbers know there's a backup file? And they said, the robber has to be an employee at this place. FBI questions every employee at the place, and they asked each employee, who do you think did it? Every single person said Alan Pace. FBI investigated everywhere. The only thing they found is a taillight lens that belonged to a box truck, the same box truck that Alan used to rob the place. But FBI couldn't get anywhere with this taillight lens because it's in LA and these box trucks are everywhere. FBI starts investigating Alan himself to see what he's up to. After investigating Alan, they realize he lives with his mom and he doesn't even have a bank account. 6 months passes and nothing happens. Alan slowly starts giving out the money to his friend. After that, his friends couldn't slow down anymore. They started spending and spending. They bought cars, lands, everything you can name. Alan starts a small business to launder his cash. Everything was going good until one of Alan's buddies goes to buy a piece of land. He makes a huge mistake. The stacks of cash that he gives to the seller has a weird set of papers around the cash, and the piece of paper had the handwriting of a banker. The seller was sketched out and he told himself, why does this guy have all this cash? And that is why he calls the bank and asks them, what if the cash I'm getting is fake? The bankers told them, "Bring it here, we'll check it out." When the bank looked at the cash, they noticed that this cash belongs to a vault, and a regular person shouldn't have this cash with this piece of paper on it. And that is why they called the cops. And since the cops couldn't do anything, they called the FBI. And the FBI noticed this cash belongs to a vault that was robbed a few years ago. Alan's buddy, whose name was Eugene, was arrested, and they go to find out what he was doing on the day of the robbery. They see that he has rented a box truck on that day, the same box truck that had left the taillight lamp. FBI realizes that Eugene is also friends with Alan Pace, and they were certain that Alan Pace is behind it as well. And they raid his house. When they enter his house, they find a lot of cash, same cash that was stolen. The cops didn't know there were 5 people in this robbery, and if Alan Pace didn't snitch on them, they wouldn't have gotten caught. But Alan Pace snitched on all of them. And the cops raided all of his friends' houses. Since Alan was an employee at the place and was the planner of the robbery, he got 25 years in prison, but his friends got around 10 years in prison. There's also another investigation that is going on. FBI was only able to recover $7 million, and they don't know where the rest of the money is at. The robbers say we spent it all, or we don't know where it is. Alan Pace is still in prison, and he has around 5 more years left. But all his buddies are free, and every person that came out of prison were in FBI's watch list to see if they go to find some cash somewhere, because the FBI is looking for the rest of that cash.